Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I am Dr. Jean Pemberton of Indus Education. I'm so excited that you decided to click play to watch our podcast. The name of this podcast, the title of this podcast is the Finished with the capital D line roundtable. It is the Finished Line Roundtable. And I am so excited to be on this podcast with three, and I'm going to count one, two, three prestigious African American strong Black men who have earned their doctorate degree. And for the next couple of weeks, we are going to bring to you a series, a discussion on highlighting our doctoral journey. We're going to talk about sharing our life experiences. We're going to highlight the challenges and the triumphs of our doctoral journey. So before I go any further or get started, I want to encourage you to please make sure that you like this video. Make sure you share this video with someone who you know will benefit from this podcast. And then please do me a favor. Please, ma'am, please, sir, please make sure that you follow this podcast and so that you can receive notifications whenever we drop our new episodes. So let me go ahead and get started by introducing you to none other than his name is Dr. Larry C. Bryant. Dr. Bryant, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listening audience.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Larry Bryant, and I am a 2006 graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I completed my degree in rehabilitative psychology and studied the overrepresentation of African American males, adolescent males, and behavior disorder programs.
Dr. Bobby Courtney, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listening and watching audience.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Bobby Courtney. I graduated in 2024, so I'm the youngest of the group to join the academy at Texas Woman University, where I studied the compassionate discipline, an exploratory qualitative study of major urban and suburban high schools in North Texas.
Okay. Love it, love it. And Dr. Mikos Smith, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listening and watching audience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Mikos Smith, a graduate from Auburn University in December 2019. Had a descriptive study of the relationship between graduation rates, amounts of financial aid, and tuition costs for student athletes in higher education.
Dr. Courtney, since you are the newest to the Academy group of earned doctorates, let's talk about what motivated you to pursue a doctoral degree and specifically in your field of study.
Well, the obvious for me has been an African-American male and looking at the percentages of those who have matriculated through college and along high school, and here we are at doctoral degree. So I had a lady that was a mentor of mine who always told me that there were great things come of you if you would stop being a jokester. And she told me before she passed away that she wanted me to become a doctor. So I kind of kept that promise to ensure that I kept that legacy going.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Smith, share with us what motivates you to move forward to pursue your doctoral degree.
I had a couple of motivations that came about. So I had just graduated with my master's in engineering from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And I was talking to my cousin and I was like, I'm almost there. I'm at that tipping point to go ahead and change my name. So that's when I decided to go ahead and do that. Also, right after that, I was watching the show Big Bang Theory. And if anybody's familiar with it, the engineer that's on that show, everybody would sit up there and say, oh, I'm Dr. such and such, Dr. such and such, and this is Mr. Wallowitz. And so he was the engineer. So I just didn't want to be that guy. So that was my motivation to keep on going. So that's how I got here.
Love it. Dr. Bryant, your turn. Share with us your reason to move forward and pursue your doctoral degree.
When I was a classroom teacher back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I noticed that a lot of my students were African American males. And then an important statistic that jumped out at me is that every statistical category that we associated with school failure was led by African American boys, or mostly African American boys. So that kind of, I was wondering, well, how are these teachers being trained and who was doing the training? And in order to be a teacher, to train a teacher, most folks have to have a doctorate. And so I went in and applied to the University of Wisconsin at Madison to get this degree in order to be able to teach teachers how to successfully and effectively teach African American boys.
So let's continue with this discussion of what you said in regards to education, because we do know that oftentimes when you look at statistics, you see typically a strong presence of women in the educational field. And so there has been a recruitment in many decades. Each decade, you see a recruitment of more men to get more involved in the field of academia. And so when you speak of that, is that what motivated you to move forward with your thesis and your dissertation topic?
Absolutely. We know currently about 81% of the teaching workforce is of female, and a large percentage of that population are white female at that.
Right.
So we do
Okay.
understand that there is a cultural mismatch between African American boys and girls. I don't really study the girl side, but I know that they kind of suffer the same kinds of school failures that the males do as well. But my foci is really on African American boys. But we do know that over the past centuries, there have been several programs, such as Call Me Mr. program and 101 Men to Education programs. So there's been a lot of initiatives that have been put forth to introduce Black men into education. But for some reason, as soon as we get to education, we get whisked away from the classroom and into more administrative capacities. So where we're most needed, we're most taken away from.
Right. I totally agree. Dr. Courtney, let's talk a little bit about your experience. You actually went to Texas Women University, right? TWU, to earn your doctorate. Why did you
Yes.
decide to choose that particular university to earn your doctorate degree?
Well, a couple of reasons. TWU had the family studies program. And because of the things I've experienced in my life over the years, being coming from a single parent home and want to know the dynamics and the structures of the Black family, they were the one who had the actual program that I was looking for. And secondly, and that's a little nugget, as an African American male, as a male period, going to a predominantly female university, there was a lot of tuition, a lot of monies involved that could help benefit and pay for that at a degree. So I got scholarships and I got a lot of private funding from people just because I was a male. And so I said, well, God dog, that's a pretty good deal. So I can go to school, get a degree, and get the money for going. So, and not take out so many doggone grants and I mean loans. So it was a great thing for me at TWU because of that, being a minority, a double minority.
Love it. Now, how long did it take for you to finish your doctoral program? How many years?
It took about 6.5 years. Now, it would have been a lot faster, but I didn't take any classes during the summertime. Being an educator, as well as Dr. Bryant, I wanted my summers to my son. I spend most of my time educating and raising everyone else's child. My summers were reserved for my own child. So I didn't take any classes. I took fall and spring, and I relaxed and whatever I need to do in the summer. So that was the reason why I took a little longer than I anticipated.
Okay. And Dr. Smith, you're in education as well. So let's talk a little bit about your experience. How many years did it take for you to earn your doctoral degree?
It took me from fall 2013 until December 2019. I could have got a little sooner, however, but life was lifing. Definitely. I was living in Atlanta when I started the program, and in the midst of it, I moved over to Dallas, Texas, and so it was a lot of back and forth that I had to do. When you're not on campus, it's a little bit more challenging. So especially me trying to um, get over from Dallas to Auburn, that was a struggle within itself. So I mean, I was traveling back and forth like once or twice a month just to get everything situated with my advisors and my board. And so that was my experience.
Dr. Bryant, did you have any challenges as well? First of all, how long did it take for you to earn your doctorate degree? And did you face any type of challenges as well?
So no, I was very fortunate to be a university fellow. So they paid me to go to school and they gave me a stipend. So I think I was getting about $40,000 a year on top of having my tuition and books paid and full medical. So I strung that out as long as I could. And in addition to my doctorate, I did get an additional master's degree and two administrative certifications. So I just kept going, and it took me about 6 years to complete all of those.
So on an average, for everybody that's on the panel, it takes an average of about 6 years if you're give or take, right? Typically, for me, this last one, it took me 7 years. So a lot of times when people are going into the program, they have this 4-year plan sometimes, or maybe 5 years. But we see that an average is about 6.5 years. So Dr. Brian, what about your advisors or your dissertation chairs? Did you have any type of mentorship with this particular doctoral program?
So yeah, I had a couple mentors. So I had my advisor from my area, and she was very consistent and with me the whole entire time. But also I had unofficial mentors, and they were Dr. Glasson Billings, Dr. Carl Grant, Dr. Bill Tates, who's now the president at Rutgers. So I had really powerful people who were part of the African American community in Madison,
Mhm.
and they were our unofficial mentors. And now they're like life mentors now. So I call Dr. Lasson Billings Mama Billings. So we had that population. But for my academic person, I was a rebel. I chose not to have anyone from my department as part of my dissertation committee. I chose to have folks from curriculum instruction and educational leadership, which my area is rehab psych. They didn't, although they were at a very prestigious university, they didn't remember or hadn't recalled that the civil rights movement had happened. And so I just didn't want to compete with that, trying to complete a dissertation and knowing that I was completely under their mercy to judge my work.
Right,
So
right.
that was some of the thing is that hidden racism that was embedded in what was happening at Madison during that time.
Dr. Smith, what about you? Did you have any type of mentorship during your doctoral program, and what role did that mentor play?
I did. I actually had two of them. So academically, I had Dr. Ashley Toll that worked at Southern Methodist University. He actually came in. It was just the grace of God. I mean, he just came in and just actually really advised me and motivated me to keep on going. And he gave me nuggets that I really needed to go ahead and get this thing done. And also my grandmother. She wasn't a PhD. She did not have her doctor or anything. However, she supported and motivated me like beyond measures. I had to go home that summer of 2019, and I was at her house every morning. She's not an early morning, nothing early morning. She actually got up probably around noon, but she knew how much help that I needed, so she'd get up early in the morning, help me out, drink her coffee, and just assist however way she could. So those were my two mentors.
I love it. I love it. Boy, it's nothing like a grandmother that's in your back
That's
corner, huh?
right.
She just
That's right.
rooting for you. That's what they
Right.
do.
Mhm.
Dr. Courtney, what about you? Any mentors that helped you to get to the finish line?
I say mentor, maybe not, but I definitely had people who pushed me. My son and my wife were strong, and that was vital to have family to be able to push you because you spend so much time away from them that you often they go neglected. So my wife, who a lot of people know, did a lot of things for US of A, track and field, and to know that and know how motivated and disciplined she was a big factor for me. If she can go from South Oak Cliff High School to the Olympics and win, then I'm not gonna let her outdo me. And then I have a son who had to deal with uh, moving into a family where I'm not married to his mom anymore, and having a blended family, have to adjust to that. And so the time thing for me was getting my son adjusted to a blended family, as well as trying to stay in school and be a great dad and be a great supporter of my kids. So just knowing that I wasn't the only one out there in the fight, right, so to speak. So
Right.
and everything that I do, and my son knows this. I don't trust the educational system as much as I used to. So my son will always know that the highest degree that you can acquire is possible because his dad has it. And so if he decides to go to school and decides to do whatever, he knows can't no professor tell him this, can't no teacher tell him this. He knows it's possible because he can look over across the room and see his dad. And so that's the
Right.
main motivating factor for me.
Let's continue the conversation of life balance, work balance, trying to get to the finish line balance, because you talk about that balance that you implemented. Why do you think that's so important, especially for people who are listening right now that feels exhausted, overwhelmed, and they see the finish line, but they are exhausted? What would you recommend for them and provide advice as far as maintaining a healthy work-life balance?
The main thing for me is just remember to keep the main thing, right? And the main focus for me is family. And so whatever can fit in that family block that I can accomplish, that's what I'm going to do. So when it came down to my degree, my advice to people is just make sure you take care of your psyche first, your mental health. So sometimes instead of me leaving school and coming straight home, I would leave school and maybe stop by and have a cigar, or I may stop by and drive a couple miles just to make sure my head is clear. So when I come home, that I'm the Bobby that they expect to see, and not this student at home who's at school who's struggling and frustrated and all those things. So I just made sure that I scheduled my classes around things that I could do. I didn't take Friday classes. Why? Because my son plays football on Fridays. So Monday through Thursday, I was studying. I did absolutely nothing on Fridays. So I made sure I reserved at least one day just for my family. And whether I was paper was due Saturday, so be it. I'll be up all night. But Friday was going to be the day that I spent with family. And so I'll catch up to you tomorrow.
So Dr. Bryant, for you, because you had all of these benefits in front of you, what was the competitive side that you had to experience? Because even though you're in this space, you have to remain competitive to be able to continue to move forward with the type of fellowships that you receive. So let's talk about that balance that you had to create in order to maintain competitiveness, keep your edge, but not lose your mind.
Absolutely. One of the things that I found that was super challenging was the time management aspect, is that being that you're working partially for the university and you're also pursuing your degree full time, it's always that the department wanted more of my time. So I was teaching a course, and at that campus, there were usually about 120 students per class, and I had two of those classes while I was doing full-time work. And also I was volunteering at the local high school, coaching high school football, as well as being part of the Boys and Girls Club, just interacting in the community. So that time, and then also I had my own entire family. So I had kids and at that time as well. So and I took on a part-time job bouncing out of bar. I don't know why I thought I could be a good bouncer, but I did that too. And I think that was when when you get into the deep part of the program, you do need an escape. The coursework itself was simple and easy. It was like actually thinking through the dissertation process, doing the research, interpreting the data, understanding the participants. All of that took 2 years just to learn that component. And I think just having those opportunities to set boundaries for yourself, find private time to do things by yourself, and also, I don't know if speaks for everyone else, but you are present, but you wasn't there. I don't know, maybe I was at
Yeah.
football games, but mentally I wasn't there. I was at my daughter's birthday party, but I physically I was there, but the rest of me wasn't there. And so I had to find and be intentional about times that I was going to shut off school, shut off work, and then focus on the things that were going to be important to me the rest of my life, because school was it was just a step for me.
Right.
So those are kind of things. So I would say definitely volunteer away from what I was doing. I didn't want to do anything involved with school. That's why I went and volunteered as coach. Definitely take breaks throughout your day or throughout your week. If you have a hobby, pursue that hobby and stay with that hobby. Definitely set boundaries and learn to say no. That would be the
Right.
biggest thing that I would say. It's okay to say no.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's not in the contract you signed. But other than that, definitely be able to say no in a very respectful way.
Dr. Smith, what about you? Were you working, and during the time that you were earning your degree, you talked about how you had to transition from one city to the next. How did you create that work-life balance?
Yes, ma'am. So, like Dr. Bryant, my coursework wasn't as challenging as I thought it was. I was taking 6 classes a semester. So I actually finished all my coursework in 1 year. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it actually took 5 years to write the dissertation. So in the midst of it, that was the problem. So once again, I'm going back and forth and trying to do the whole transition thing. Like Dr. Bryant said, I'm somewhere, but I'm somewhere else writing this dissertation. So I was still living my life. I was still traveling. I was still working. Nothing stopped at all. I just traveled with my laptop. So I can be on this trip. I will just go ghost for a couple of hours and then I'll pop back up. So I mean, the ball just kept moving. I just couldn't stop. I had to just keep on going. But the thing is, I
Yeah.
don't have a wife. I don't have any children. So that's something that you all have that I haven't experienced yet. So that
Yeah.
helps out a whole lot.
So just to all the guys, it sounds like the answer is no, but I don't want to assume. Was there ever a time that you just wanted to quit?
Every day,
I think we all want to
every day,
quit.
every day. I'm quick to say
I
that
said no, but y'all said yes every day.
every day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
every day.
You thought
Give-
about it, but you wasn't gonna do it. Is that what it is?
I had to push through. Had to push through. It was just too much time. It was
Absolutely.
just too much. They took too much. I couldn't let Auburn University
Yeah.
sit there and say, "Oh, we took your money, we took your time, and you still don't get anything." I just couldn't let that be.
Absolutely. And the guy who taught me, the guy on the other side of the table, that didn't look like me. We didn't share the same pigmentation. If I would have
Mhm.
quit, my mindset, I gave him what he wanted. So I was not going to
Right.
allow, I made everything, I found ways to be motivated. And whether it was
That's right.
race, whether
Yes.
it was gender, whatever it may be, I wasn't going to quit just because if I got, that's what they want me to do in the first place.
Mhm.
And
Right.
you can put date for whoever you want to be.
Dr. Bryant, did that ever cross your mind to quit?
No, it didn't. I was always under the mindset that the task was bigger than me. And I knew I wanted to make sure that I set the blueprint for for my daughters and my son didn't follow the blueprint, but my daughters and then now my grandkids. I've always tried to be that present father and now I'm present grandfather to do those things that I didn't get the chance to have happen in my family. I didn't see my uncles or my siblings or my grandparents, the males. I didn't see them
Mhm.
go forth in education, and I wanted to stop that trend. And I see myself as being the blueprint for the rest of my family that's coming behind me.
I love it. I
And
love
it
it.
was
So,
I was really
mhm,
committed to it.
yeah. So now my question is because you all talked about why you decided to move forward with the doctoral program. Now that you're on the other side of the finish line, um, is it what you expected? You know, what the expectations was going into the program? How did that reality compare to where you are today?
I'm kind of still in shock, right? It's a lifelong dream, and I still walk past when people say Dr. Courtney, I still don't know who they're talking to sometimes because I feel like I'm still in mold. But I really believe that, right now I feel like I got a place in the room now. So wherever I go, I have a seat at the table. They undeniably have a seat at any table. I have a seat there now, even at my job, at my fraternity, wherever I go, that doctor gives you a seat at the table. Well, I didn't think so at first. I thought I had a
Right.
seat before because I was, Bobby Courtney, whatever. But now when you put that doctor on it, they have to respect the work and they have to now offer you or not offer you, just give you a seat at the table.
Dr. Smith, let's talk about how the experience has changed you professionally, and personally as well. Now that you're on the other side of the finish line.
You get out what you put in. I know because we are researchers, we are world changers, that we have to continue to research, write, publish, put our work out there to uplift humanity. That's what we're supposed to be doing. I myself have to do more, so I have to put in more work to get the full benefit of what I want my doctoral degree to be. But like Dr. Courtney said, it does give you access. And that's what a lot of us really do need, access and opportunity. So I must say that it has given me that. So I am appreciative of that part.
Dr. Bryant, let's talk about how the doctoral experience has changed you personally and professionally.
Oh, well, I initially thought that it was going to be grandiose. I thought it was going to be, oh my God, you're Dr. Bryant. You're now at the table. Like, the other panelists have said, you're now at the table. You're at the spot. What I found is graduation was beautiful. The ceremony was beautiful. The first year, second year was nice. I was like, I have a PhD. You can't do this to me. And what I've learned moving in and moving about in an academy is that it's not as liberating as I thought it was. Is that
Mm,
at the end of the day, I'm still the big black man in the classroom, still subjected
Mhm.
to stereotypes, still subjected to microaggressions, still challenged by people who are seeking an undergrad degree. And then those challenges are being supported by other white folks. So we live. Most higher ed is I call it a mountain with a snow cap. You have all the dark color folks working at the bottom, but all the high salaries are at the top. And so it's not that. So it's like, well, if you're a high school teacher, you're supposed to be in a prestigious field where they're paying you 45, $50,000. So the title is prestigious, but the treatment is not. So yeah, we walk around with this fancy robe on, this pretty gown, but it's not as pretty because I continually experience the same racial discrimination in higher ed with the PhD than the same students who are in the classroom with me. And sometimes it's about the folks who look like me. They would prefer to challenge me through my white colleagues to make sure that I am okay or not. So it is in some regards from a community standpoint, it is very uplifting. It's good that that is motivating for the folks in my community to see, for the young folks to see, for the young kids to see. That's all great. But what does it mean to them? And I go and talk to middle school kids. Dr. Bryant means absolutely nothing to them. It's equivalent to Dr. Dre. They have no frame of reference as to what went into getting that. And it's not just, I mean, the academic was the easy part. It's overcoming those social challenges and also being, I have a PhD, but they still treat me as if I was an enslaved person. So those are some of the challenges that you have to navigate and be willing to participate in to have this come along with the PhD or the
So
doctor.
do you think we need to have a better messaging style so that the respect is there? Because probably if you look in maybe the 50s, the 60s, or even perhaps the 70s, that respect was there for educators, for those who earned their education, went to college. And so, of course, we know over time things have changed, community has changed, and the respect is not always the same. But do you think maybe we need to make some adjustments in our community to help bring back the type of pride of being educated? So it's not just about entertainment or athletics or anything like that, but the balance is you can have athletes, you can have entertainers, but you also need to have your educators as well, your professors.
Absolutely. 100 unequivocal. I think that we need to be seen first as people who achieved this
Mhm.
degree of education instead of putting ourselves as the degree and then the person. Because I don't think the kids recognize that. They don't see that. They don't see that you are human, you had this journey, and it went through these different stages from the bachelor's degree to the master's degree to the PhD. And you had to do these rituals, if you will, to achieve those. And you achieve those for this express purpose. And the kids have to know what was that purpose. If that purpose is like so that you can see it could be done and you can follow, or I'm extending this ladder down to pull you up with me. That is what
Right.
our doctorate needs to be doing instead of saying, "Oh, I have a PhD. I need everybody to glorify me." I think we need to shift. We need to have that cognitive shift in our community.
Dr. Smith, what are your thoughts about that?
It depends. It really depends. It depends on the environment. It depends on the people who you're speaking with. It depends on the people you're
Hmm.
interacting with. Um, Honestly, if the environment that I'm in on a daily, I believe they understand the work that I put in to
Hmm.
earn my PhD. However, when I go home and I'm around my peers who I've been around when I was in high school and in middle school, I don't think they understand what I actually did and what I've actually achieved and that I did it for them. So I think we just like as Dr. Brian said, I think we just need to do a better job at explaining what this is and who we are and what we're trying to do to help assist our communities.
Hmm. What can we do,
And I think
Dr.
with plat
Courtney? Go ahead, Dr. Courtney.
no, no
Yes.
problem. I think with platforms like this, number one, uh, is a start. I think also that we don't necessarily talk about it as much. We don't go and get involved as much as we should, where they understand the value of an education. We live in times now where education is probably the least of importance across our country when
Right.
our commander in chief and those that are higher up are cutting funding from education. They're saying they're basically saying that I can go do 3 or 4 TikTok videos and be a millionaire. So why would I spend 12 years in school or 13 years in school when I can go TikTok or I can go Instagram or all these social media platforms to be rich and not spend money? And then, of course, my biggest challenge was always having, why would you go to school, spend all that money and have to pay it all back? Right? No one ever looked at the fact that it was a personal goal of mine, something I wanted to do, and it was important because of that picture you saw earlier, the Little Rock Nine, because of all the
Mhm.
groundbreaking things that I wasn't a part of. I read about the Little Rock Nine. I read
Right.
about uh, the Black Wall Street. I read about all those things, but what am I really a part of? And so for me, to continue to communicate how important having the highest degree in the land is and communicating what the benefits are is critical. Now, a little different from Dr. Smith, all of my friends I hung around with were educated. All of us have at least a master's degree. So for me, they understand the importance of what it took to get that doctorate degree. But when you go to the back, you go back to the hood, they don't. So it's really my responsibility for them to understand what I've done and why it's important for you to be able to do the same thing. Maybe not a doctorate degree, but a degree, period. But it's
Mhm.
hard when every day you turn the TV on and look at CNN or MSNBC or anytime, and you hear about the lack of importance or the how it's dwindling to be educated nowadays. Right? All you hear about is school shootings, but no one talks about school accomplishments. All you hear about is drugs and vapes in the schools, but you don't hear about the academic rate of our kids. So oftentimes that's the biggest issue for me and biggest motivator as well.
Before we wrap everything up, what I would like for you to do, and we'll start with Dr. Smith first, and then Dr. Courtney and Dr. Bryant will let you close it out, is to maybe provide an advice for someone who is just starting their PhD, their doctoral program. What advice would you give to them at the beginning stages of entering into a doctoral program? And so
Start
they're still doing
writing,
coursework. Okay.
even if they're doing coursework.
Hmm.
Research what you're passionate about. Research about something with a lot of research. Make sure that you are building your team. Make sure you're getting your support where it's supposed to be. Understand, find your mentor early, and also really just understand what you're getting yourself into. It's gonna be okay. It's okay to sacrifice. The party's still gonna be there. Your family's still gonna be there. Just know that it's gonna take a little while, but you're gonna get through it. That's my
I love
advice.
it. Dr. Courtney,
Man, my advice is very similar to his, man. Find that inner motivation. Something in your life has occurred that someone has told you what you couldn't do. Something has gotten you to a point where you realize, and I call it the midnight hour. What direction is your life going in? And and I literally chose mine because I was very passionate about the direction of our African American kids and where we are right now academically and how we're being treated in our school system. So passion is a great motivator for what you choose when it comes down to this program.
I love it. Dr. Bryant,
Okay, I think what I would most tell a new graduate student is to definitely focus on developing strong academic habits. Make sure you prioritize all your mental health and your mental health habits, build a supportive community around you, engage in projects outside of the academic setting. Make sure you adhere to your family cultural what you guys do on the holidays. Make sure you just stick with those. Don't go outside. It is not bigger than the PhD or the master degree, the graduate degree. It's not bigger than you, and you have to make it that. It's not bigger than you. It's just a challenge. You'll get over it. You'll build, like I said, build a very supportive community with family, but also build a supportive community with the individuals who are going through the program with you. Maybe find a grad student who is a first year, second year grad student, a third year grad student, someone who's at the dissertation point, so you can see all those as you elevate through all those different first year, second year, third year. The last one I would say is just be confident. Be confident, have high self-esteem. Society for Black folks has created this doubt about our self-esteem. We have high confidence. We are a very cocky group of people, but our self-esteem is not where it needs to be. And that's why we have to definitely create and prioritize our mental health, because our self-esteem could get in the way of what we know we can accomplish.
I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, so much for doing a wonderful job of watching this amazing panel of men, African American men, Dr. Bryant, Dr. Courtney, Dr. Smith, as they are talking about their doctoral journey. The next time, well, I don't want to say the next time, but we are going to do a podcast. We're going to talk about methodology. We're going to talk about literature review. We're going to talk about research. We're going to talk about all of the processes of what you need to do when you get to the ABD status, which is all but dissertation. So again, for more information about each of these wonderful men and about a podcast, make sure you go to the website. That's endaseducation.com. That's endaeducation.com. Happy researching.